Hey, what's good, y'all? It's Virhtue, and today I figured with all the contentious comparisons between Konoha's Yellow Flash and the Silver Slicer, I felt that instead of comparing their arsenals and scaling as I once did, how about we replace Tobirama in Minato's position during the Ninetails attack? So, it's pretty much exactly as it sounds. Tobirama will be taken whilst alive, popping that boy right into Minato's position, and testing how he would fare with the task of taking down Obito, dealing with the Ninetails, and of course saving the village. And he does similarly to Minato, and he will have the assistance of things such as Lord Third there to help him and whatnot. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. Oh wait, real quick, I know that Swag Kage and my homie Thunder God already made a video and they had a section about this, so yeah, credit to them. Go check them out. Absolutely great guys. I've never met Swag, but I met Thunder God, so absolutely great guys. Anyway, onto the video. So for this, I really don't want to focus all that much on the relation and speed between Minato and Tobirama, as I already have a whole video on that. I also just think it's generally the match is a little more interesting stylistically than statistically. For example, Minato will be able to use the ceiling to aid him in severing the Ninetails, but he needs to hypothesize and size up Obito to understand how Kamui works, when Tobirama could just use his sensory to test when the Sharingan's active and when he's tangible, yet he does lack the ceiling for Kurama. However, we do still need to understand the power gap between Minato and Tobirama, which, to really be put simply, Tobirama is above a live Minato in all speeds other than travel, via body flicker of course, as in chapter 631, Tobirama directly concedes that Minato's body flicker is superior to his own. Which, what does this mean? Well, essentially, there are other factors that go into body flicker, but this just means that Minato is capable of drawing a larger quantity of chakra down to his feet in a shorter time, which, well, if Minato is only good in travel speed, how would he be such a good fighter overall? Which, body flicker is, again, more chakra controlled based rather than an actual speed disparity of things such as like neurotransmitters firing faster for reaction speed, meaning that yes, Minato's travel speed is actually above his reaction, and this is kind of consistent as when Naruto goes like KCM1 very early in the war countdown, he's blitzing Kisame and is actually incapable of reacting to himself, and then he's compared to Minato by Tsunade. So, and this is consistent as Tobirama is capable of reacting to unstable Obito. This is shown very consistently, but the most contentious one that I see is probably the scene where Obito blitzes through Tobirama, and it's revealed that some of the bombs were placed, and which, unlike some, I don't actually believe that Tobirama just blitzed around Obito full-on Mortal Kombat style and just rather, I think he started the activation of the tags as they were mainly on that side of Obito where he ran through Tobirama. However, the marking would have to be placed entirely differently, meaning that Tobirama can react to this level of threat as he had to have placed that mark, and the bombs aren't really what should be paid attention to here, and it should be the attack. Now, the same one who was just prior, this would be the same Obito who the one just prior is like confirmed to be above Hashirama, who when weakened is still on par or even superior to an Edo Madara who could bat like KCM2 Naruto, which would be above the common KCM1 to KCM2 range, in which Minato is always consistently compared to, which is not inconsistent or contradictory, as Minato is stated by Kurama to be inferior to KCM2 in almost every single way. And I mean, if we're going to be like even more extreme to add more consistency, Tobirama does blitz KCM 1.5 Naruto, so Tobirama being more on that KCM 2 level as Madara also implies claiming that Tobirama is nowhere near his original speed, and which is above all Shinobi, and Madara makes this claim literally like right after seeing Tobirama like react to him. And now many have suggested the idea that this is simply perception speed, or it was like a time teleportation set with the flying Raijin and whatnot, which is just wrong. This is Tobirama perceiving Madara's movement, and then once Madara attempts to attack, Tobirama's neurotransmitters fire and he reacts via teleportation, which again lines up consistently with the narrative for him. Now, of course, being the fact that Tobirama was literally unparalleled in speed during his time, apart from Sage Mode Hashirama, which if you want a more in-depth explanation, that's in my Hokage video in the Hashirama section, and it's rather long-winded, so go check that out for why Sage Mode Hashirama is not really, below this Tobirama. But other than that, Tobirama is the fastest, and I mean, there isn't really anything to contradict this narrative either. And now, there will always be someone who's, gonna comment, but what about Kinkaku and Ginkaku? In which, in response to that, let's just analyze each statement surrounding these encounters to picture what Kishimoto was attempting to convey. There were two encounters with these two. The first was at a political confrontation regarding war and attempting to bring peace upon the world, in which Kinkaku and Ginkaku were there, and they were considered to be two golden lights of the cloud, referring to the respect that many held for them as being good, virtuous people, more than likely, right? However, it's also stated that they staged a coup d'etat or a revolutionary siege attempt on power. Since we know that they attacked the second Raikage, then they must have had to have been on his side during the confrontation as, guards, presumably, considering their reputation as I just mentioned. So Tobirama and the second Raikage were off guarded, and the second Raikage died, and Tobirama barely escapes with his life. And this is not all, though, regarding this first confrontation, however, as we know that once Ginkaku was revived, the first thing that he stated was pitiful, snared by the second Hokage, meaning that Tobirama was alive at the time of Ginkaku's death, which is when they almost beat him, which is also something he kind of says or along those lines, which fits absolutely perfectly, and it being stated that he was on the brink of death after the first one. Kakuzu then stated that Kinkaku only rages like this when Ginkaku kicks the bucket. Now, for the second encounter, Tobirama faced the Kinkaku unit, and that's a group comprised of unknown S-class shinobi, and it was an encounter that he was ambushed and surrounded by on a mission, and Tobirama simply succumbed to his wounds. So, to conclude the Kin and Gin stuff, the first encounter, Tobirama was off guard and then killed Ginkaku, and then Kinkaku raged and had the revenge squad and ambushed him on the mission or whatnot. So, yeah, Kinkaku and Ginkaku do not bring down Tobirama's scaling and are not really like an anti-feat for him, and Tobirama should be above Minato in reaction and combat speed, just not travel and body flicker, which is really interesting as Minato does happen to use it quite frequently against Obito. So now that the speed disparity is out of the way and has been quite literally established, we can get straight into the scenario that Lord Fourth was placed in. And I know, let's just going to be honest here real quick, Minato's arsenal is perfect for this encounter. And however, I don't really think that many people who have done this comparison count Tobirama in as much as they should, and I think they're kind of counting a lot of his abilities out and how he interacts. So yes, he's not really factory made for this, kind of like how Minato is with the ceiling and the flying rising, but he does do it very, very well. So the encounter in chapter 500 begins with Tobirama on the outskirts of the village with Kushina giving birth. However, Obito is still outside and is shown murdering the Anbu guards and dropping their bodies into the water. Now, Tobirama may actually be able to sense Obito's presence, which Tobirama's sensory is actually extremely adept, as he's able to sense Madara literally across countries, touch his finger to the ground and sense the entire Kinkaku unit, how many shinobi there were, their chakra types, who they were, and whatnot like that. So, Tobirama was also highlighted thoroughly for his sensory, leading platoons of shinobi in war. However, Tobirama's sensory is not passive, as stated when he's talking to Hashirama. He actually requires a needing of chakra, but since it's stated that this was absolutely top secret, it's the highest level barrier protecting, this, and it's on the edge of the village with Lord Third's Anbu special guards, so Tobirama should certainly be on guard, just due to his, stoic-esque personality, and his presumable lack of care for Kushina in this instance. So, yeah, instead of having Biwaku, Hiruzen's wife, die, Tobirama more than likely moved the battle away much quicker, which means that Obito would not actually be able to even get control of the Ninetails, so Tobirama would just fight him there, and, we'll kind of come back to how that goes, and he's just going to fight him whilst, the medic and specialized shinobi keep Kurama inside Kushina. However, I'm not going to go with this, and I'm just going to give it to Obito and say he got very lucky, and that Tobirama didn't sense him and was not needing chakra yet, and it just went just like how it did in the original manga, just kind of keep it a little more interesting for you guys, which means that we'll just go with the scene where Biwaku and Taji drop dead, and Obito has Naruto, which, yes, Tobirama's body flicker is actually very good, and Obito obviously does not scale to Minato's body flicker, as he's constantly getting blitzed by it, so Tobirama could force Obito to throw Naruto up with a jutsu such as the water pellets, which is his water style jutsu that he used on revived Madara, in which Madara was forced to actually use the Susanoo to block rather than evade, and the 4th data book describes these as, quote, like rain falling from a cloudless sky, soundless water needles that catch the enemy off guard, water spurted at high velocity from the mouth to snipe at vital spots. So, Tobirama could use these to force Obito to dematerialize, as Obito does not really have any counter, and it should go similarly to where the Obito fight is now separate from the Ninetails attack, which Tobirama should still have all the Jonin and Hiruzen's aid as Minato did, so just meaning that Tobirama had to fight Obito a bit later. But as for what Tobirama would do against the Bijou Bomb in the very start of the battle, in which Minato used Flying Rising Teleportation Barrier, which is literally like a jutsu that like cracks through space and time, so Tobirama could just use Flying Rising to teleport this out of the village. However, he will not be capable of replicating like Minato's crack in time and space, as I mentioned. He should still be able to teleport the Bijou Bomb to a distance, obviously, assuming that Tobirama has at least another kunai somewhere in the world, which even if it isn't, even if it's like one in the cloud, for example, it still doesn't mean much, as the FTG is stated to, in the third data book, like in the dictionary section, to move beyond the concepts of space and time, and it would be like to the point where Tobirama can now divert the rest of his attention to Obito, since this is about where Hiruzen kind of jumps in with the Jonin and decides to go after Kurama and kind of push him out with Enma. So just how fast is this Obito? Well, from what we know, this Obito is incredibly fast. However, many people exaggerate his speed and say that he is an equal or even faster than Minato. However, I don't actually quite believe this to be the case, so essentially, their first interaction, Minato reacts to Obito, turns around and tries to slice him, in which Obito is capable of catching his hand and attempting to calm away Minato, and then Minato just blitzes out with Flying Rising, which Obito notes there he'll take him quicker next time, as soon as they touch, meaning that Obito is going to be going full speed next time, and he wasn't in this encounter, in which Minato still is able to move equally to Obito, and then completely blitzing Obito to a literally point where Obito was in slow motion, and even his passive Kamui would not, go back on. So all he had to do was just fire any signal for it to come back on, and it would have, and he would have just went right through it, but he was incapable. So Minato was more than likely just gauging Obito's power and holding back up until this point. So this means that Obito is only a low end relative to Minato, if you're being generous. And then again, Tobirama is above that. And then I actually think that most people would agree that Minato and Tobirama are at least relative in intellect, so Tobirama should be able to decipher a considerable amount about Obito, dare I say even easier than Minato did, due to, again, Tobirama in-depth knowledge on the Sharingan, and it's, like desperate and evil ocular chakra, and it's different. So, since his, sensory, I guess, would be active, he would know that this is an Uchiha, and that even going beyond sensory is actually, like, the key to knowing Obito's ability. And I would actually argue that Tobirama would actually know exactly when Obito is materializing, giving Tobirama a huge advantage. Now, this is the part where stuff kind of gets interesting in regarding to Kamui and how Tobirama would just instantly counter it. So, let's go back to the Konan versus Obito fight. She mentions that she had been studying Obito for years, but I mean, they never fought, and they were never in combat together, so her studying of Obito would actually be done via pain. So, this is something my friend Billy brought up to me, and which it's kind of when Obito enters the rain village, and it's a Sunday, and all the villagers are noting how hard it's raining, even when it's not supposed to rain on a Sunday. Reason being is, well, because Pain actually activated the Rainmaker Jutsu, which allows him to sense everything in the water that's coming down, so he was actually able to decipher Kamui, the suck-in timer, the immaterialization, and Obito in response uses the 3-tone white Sharingan. So this provides a perfect explanation on how she actually knew those time limits and when it would actually be near impossible to find those via just simply research. So this means that Tobirama's sensory, which could sense literally across countries, and we already talked about the Kinkaku and Ginkaku stuff, telling their chakra where they were, how they were moving, how they were surrounding them. Tobirama could go about this in a few different ways. Tobirama could blitz Obito via slicing his throat, maybe with the Flying Rising slice that he did on Izuna, or maybe Tobirama would use Severing Wave, which could slice the roots of the God Tree that were able to throw Casey and Minato and Bijou Sage Mode Naruto down to the ground, which this would obviously kill Obito. Or maybe to counter the Sharingan, Tobirama would use Bringer of Darkness, and yeah, I know, some like to bring up the fact that Hashirama is the one who uses it in the manga and Tobirama in the anime. However, since the 4th data book, Tobirama is actually listed as a yin user, and Hashirama is not, it's more likely that Tobirama is the one who has the jutsu. And I mean, let's be honest, bro is kind of known for inventing jutsu out here. I mean, he's kind of known for that, the Edo Tensei, the Shadow Clones, all that. So, So that, and again, which Obito again doesn't really have a counter to, something like that. Now Obito unfortunately cannot Genjutsu Tobirama here, and anyway, that probably would have been his best bet, for being honest, and as that would be the only thing capable of touching this man. And I mean, be for real, Obito was an impersonator of Madara, and Tobirama was stated faster than the real one and was told directly by Hashirama not to kill him. So Tobirama is clearly just a step above Obito, and his speed is too much, his water style is too adept, his sensory is too precise, and he is simply just above this Obito. Now, for him getting rid of the Ninetails, he would probably have to rely on someone else if he doesn't just outright kill Obito on the spot, due to his, dare I say, hatred to the Uchiha. I know, I typically hate when people say that, but, I mean, it's somewhat there. And, this is certainly possible, and maybe Kushina could also help just replacing Kurama back into Jinchuriki form. So anyway, yeah, to completely conclude this video, I actually think that Tobirama is severely underestimated in this match and does unironically really, really well, which, I mean, come on now, let's stop disrespecting Tobirama and be generous to his true power. Now, although Minato's arsenal is more equipped for a situation like this, Tobirama is also built just as well, just for different reasons. And I mean, if you guys are interested, I already have some Ken and Gid videos coming up, but maybe we could do a Kinkaku and Ginkaku versus Minato in the future and see how he would stack up in Tobirama's position. And also, again, if you want a more in-depth analysis on Tobirama versus Minato, that is currently up on my page, so go check that out. And as always, love you guys.